Welcome to Driving Excellence at Nasdaq. And I have in the studio with me today, Pranay Agrawal. And Pranay, I'm delighted that you're here with us to help us understand both Fractal AI, where you're the CEO, and understand where AI is heading in our world today through the lens of Fractal and your leadership. And I wanted to kick off, Pranay, with the first thing is, what got you as a younger person interested in this world of AI? Because you've been at this quite a while.
Yes.
But we've only really seen the sort of the bubble of it get all excited over the last few years. So what got you started?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you very much. Very excited to be here. And let me go back, right? This was several years back, more than 20 years back. And yes, at that point of time, AI was not a buzzword. What we discovered, Srikanth and I, co-founders of the company, is that there is a lot of data in the company, in various enterprises, and that data can be used to make better decisions. And that really was the starting point. That can we help businesses deliver better outcomes through this combination of mathematics and behavioral sciences applied to their data and to various decisions that they make. And those decisions can range from credit risks to customer value creation, to pricing, and a whole host of things. Really, we started in the banking sector, which is where our experience was, helping companies drive better credit risk management and better customer acquisition, pricing, etc. Because there was tremendous value to be seen. But what has happened over the last 10 years? Firstly, we saw a big explosion in the ability to compute and crunch through this data, right? And that led to the advent of big data and stuff like that. And you could use more sophisticated models and on top of the data, and you could crunch through a lot more data. But what's happened in the last 3 or 4 years, where AI has become this buzzword, is that we've had the advent of generative AI and agentic AI. And we're now moved from a world of just using data and AI to make better decisions, to use AI to not just make decisions, but to drive a whole host of autonomous action. And that's a totally different paradigm that we're in. It's just fantastic.
It's interesting that you started in financial services. That's where I started 16 years ago, partly because I saw it as foundational to governance in general. And here you are today. You've started this company called Fractal AI, which I want to hear a little bit about how the genesis of that, but also this transition or expansion from financial services and banking into infrastructure, and what that has been like and where you're taking the company would be of interest, I think, for our listeners.
Yeah. So, if you abstract away from the industry, every industry is essentially trying to do 4 real things: trying to make better products, right? That will satisfy a real customer need and win in the marketplace. Number 2, they are trying to engage better with their customers, both upfront in terms of marketing and communication, then in acquisition, in servicing the customer, meeting the customer needs, and so on and so forth. They're trying to drive better operations, and that could be in the area of better pricing, better promotions management, more efficient marketing, better supply chain management, risk management, governance, compliance, all of that stuff. And then they are working towards the future. What do we do today so that we are not disrupted, but we are the disruptors, right? Underlying all of this is the ability for the senior management to make better decisions, right? So if you take these 4 aspects of it, you can pretty much apply it to any industry, which is not to say that you can just take this abstraction and win in any industry. You do have to get into the details. You have to get into the messy processes and, bring all of that to fore so that the AI and data can actually serve you. So that's how we thought about it, that in every industry, can we identify what are these, 4 critical aspects and how they apply to that industry, and then one by one look to solve that. So today we are doing this very extensively across consumer products. It's one of our largest verticals, and it's in the same areas. We are deploying AI to help companies make better products faster, We're deploying AI on the demand side to help them make better pricing decisions, better promotions decisions, better decisions on how to do e-commerce, which is the largest growing sector for all the consumer product companies, how to make their sales force most efficient, how to make their in-store availability better. And then you come on the supply side, we're saying, okay, how do we make our manufacturing more effective? Can I reduce wastage? Can I reduce usage of electricity? Can I use the same plant to drive 5% or 10% more production throughput? How can I reduce my transportation costs? How can I reduce my warehousing cost, and so on, right? And then you take that same idea and you can apply it to a technology company, or you could apply that to a telecom company or to an electricity distributor.
So practically speaking, how does a client find you? Or do you find the client?
It's a mix of both.
Okay.
Certainly a lot of our work comes because we do great work, and then the word of mouth spreads, and of course the whole AI community is fairly small. The CDO community, as you might call it, or the chief AI officer community, as you might call it, it's small. And it's relatively new, and so we do have a fairly wide set of relationships over there. But equally, we also spend our time finding the right fit. We've also defined for ourselves what we call a must-win client group, and those are the companies that we reach out to because we believe that we have the ability to create a lot of value for them.
And I'm not going to hold you to this, but I think it helps people think about AI, and that is, let's step forward 5 years and you and I are getting back together.
Yeah.
What do you envision is AI's impact is going to have been, let's say, on your clients, and however you want to expand that into the business world?
Yeah. So I think we have to think about AI almost like electricity. It's going to be there everywhere. It's going to be all pervasive. Today, we don't think about electricity. We think about the end users of electricity, the television, the refrigerator, the computer, my phone. Okay, all of these things, they run because we have electricity. AI is going to get there. It's on that path. So think of every business process. As I said, whether it's the process of new product creation, is the process of customer acquisition and customer retention, is the process of pricing, is the manufacturing. Think about all the finance processes, legal processes, etc. All of them will be made better, so more effective and more efficient using AI. And it's all going to happen as part of the process. So that's number one. Number two is that a whole host of decisions and actions that we take now, the AI applications will take, because we're going to train them on our data, we're going to train them on our context, we're going to train them as to what's a good decision, what's a bad decision, and so on. And a whole host of time that we spend today in terms of coordination, in terms of eliminating the frictions of working between two people, between two departments, and processes, all of that will get smoothened out. So the net outcome that we'll see is AI is all pervasive. AI is also making a whole host of decisions and taking a whole host of autonomous actions, which is enabling more effective and efficient outcomes for business as well as for consumers.
And we work considerably with the relationship between CEOs and boards, particularly here at Nasdaq, because that's a fundamental part of good governance. What are the messages that you'd like to speak to boards about their AI fluency, and any suggestions you have for board members on being more productive as board members?
I could actually start with, personally, what board members can do, right? I think it's going to be really important to get educated on the topic. And by that, I mean understanding what AI can do. What is the world of possibilities, right? How are we doing things today, and how can AI make that different? And I think, what are the different kinds of, applications? What are the different, terminologies in the space? Not to become programming level experts or anything like that, but just user level, understanding of it. I think that's going to be really, really important, because you cannot govern if you don't, understand at a, application level. From a company standpoint, I think number one is strategy. Where are we going to apply AI? Or rather, even one step back, what are our core goals as a corporation, right, at the board level for the next 3 years, next 5 years, okay? And how can AI help us achieve those goals better? In some cases, AI may also help us rewrite those goals, because we may be able to imagine new things that we can do with AI which we couldn't earlier, right? So that's one part to it. However, I just go back to say, what is company strategy? What are the objectives? In line with that, therefore, how will AI help us, or where will we apply AI? So that's number one, defining that prioritization. Number two is that then using that prioritization to say, how will we reimagine processes in our company? Maybe I'm an insurance company, okay, my objective is growth. And one of the big impediments to growth today is that we are not able to respond to all the requests for quotes that come in, okay? One of the objectives would be, can I improve my quote ratio? Can I double the amount of quotes that I provide? And how does AI help us do that? So then that becomes a very clear objective. I apply AI to my quotation process with the objective of doubling the number of quotes that I provide, okay? So reimagining critical processes, again linked to my strategy, okay, and saying, okay, what are the objectives, outcomes that we're looking for over there? So that's number two, I would say. Number three is to put in place a governance structure, okay? A governance structure to track against the objectives that we set out. What objectives did we set out and what have we achieved? A governance structure also to make sure that everything that we're doing is things that can be published on the front page of a newspaper, right? So we're doing it ethically, we are doing it in transparency, we are doing it in line with our values. Number four, I would say, is that, look, AI can do magic. However, it requires investment and it requires sustained investment. So you've got to have the belief and you've got to, ensure that you're putting the investment behind it. And then five, I would say very, very important, is workforce transformation, which includes investing in reimagining what work will look like for your people after you have made those transformations, and then upskilling the people to be in that new world.
When you think about the governance side of it particularly, what would you emphasize to board members that are non-negotiables in a sense of their responsibility to provide the appropriate governing oversight that adds value to the management team's long-term objectives and goals as you described?
What we think is that the way to creating value from AI is really in three pillars. And that's also how we approach this for our clients. Number one is what we'd call AI-led business transformation, okay, which is the first thing which I said, the strategy. Identifying areas of your business process where AI will add value and where you want to work on. It could add value to 100 places, but you may choose to work only on the top 5 most important, right? That definition, governing that part is really, really important. Okay, where will we add value? What outcomes will we deliver? Number two is that you must have heard this, that, there are a lot of AI pilots, but they don't scale. And the scaling requires the second pillar, which we call AI foundations, okay? And that means creating the infrastructure environment and the security environment so that these applications can scale and they can do so securely, which means that ensuring that your organization has created the architecture, they have created the right data that feeds into these applications. We have created working on creating the knowledge and the ontology. We're working on creating the agentic AI frameworks, and then very importantly on the security and governance part of it, which means that the applications that we have and the decisions and the actions that are being taken by the AI applications, they are observable, which means that they're not a black box. We can actually go back and trace why decisions were made, and they're explainable. Because in some shape or form, we're all in regulated worlds, right? And second, there's a responsibility towards consumers and towards the community that we operate in. So what happens inside those applications, while it will drive more efficiency and effectiveness, but it should be explainable. So that is actually another part of it, which I think is non-negotiable.
Well, Pranay, thank you for your insights today. Thank you for coming in and sitting with me in the studio. And just to close, as you think about the vision of AI in our world today, what does driving excellence mean to you in that, and as we look forwardly?
There are two parts to it, right? One is doing things that we're already doing efficiently, better, and all of those kinds of things, more effectively and more efficiently. And that is in itself very exciting. Then there is the second part of it, which is that AI is enabling us to do things that were not possible. I will give you an example. We have a subsidiary called Cure. And in Cure, basically we do X-ray diagnosis to detect for tuberculosis and lung cancer. Now, there are many countries in the world where there is a severe shortage of radiologists. I'll take the example of Philippines. We work extensively with that government there. Tuberculosis is a big problem, okay? And they would send, X-ray machines in vans to villages and take X-rays. But there wouldn't be radiologists to read them, so it will take 6 weeks for the results to come back. With the help of AI, we created Cure, and now that application is embedded in the X-ray machines, and you get an instantaneous reading. So imagine a remote village, you go to the van, you take an X-ray, and you immediately know whether you need to see a doctor or not, right? Now that is excellence. We are improving human lives in a significant way, right? That was not possible without the use of AI. So to me, excellence is, one part of it is doing better what we already do, and then the second part is doing things that we could not earlier do.
That's terrific. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it, yeah.